Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Nerd Cultured. This is episode 13. I'm Remy. We got John and Mike with us today.
We're back!
What
Party time.
What is up? Yeah, God, it was a little bit of a break there. August was a crazy month for everyone. Personally, I've been tearing my boat apart and putting it back together.
By crazy, we mean we all wanted to take some time off, and we deserve that. So, but it's good to be back.
I wish, dude. It's been crazy for me.
Well, when you say time off is in quotation marks, I mean, let's be honest.
Right.
But,
right.
we were not able to sit down and create a good podcast, so we thought we'd create no podcast instead of creating a shitty one.
Yes, exactly that.
That sounds better. We should have rehearsed that beforehand. That's how you know you're getting a raw product here, folks.
Well, Remy doesn't allow us to rehearse.
That's right.
Where's the fun in that?
Rehearsal
It's
is
against
not
Remy's rules.
Yeah. Tonight I'm leading the charge, man.
Exactly, which means chaos reigns.
That's right.
Oh, man. So, what's been happening in life since last time last time we released a podcast? It's been shit since we actually recorded, I think 5-6 weeks.
Well,
Release has been a little
thing.
sooner.
I got a thing. Do you want to hear the thing? I got a thing.
I'm afraid,
a penis?
but yeah,
I have
sure.
one too. Oh, Jesus
What
Christ.
the fuck is that terrible sound?
I got a stuffed wolf that makes howling noises, and I use it on Twitch now.
Everyone just
holy
disconnected
shit,
from the podcast just then.
Wow, I hated everything about that. All right.
It's not for you.
Thank God.
You guys and your props.
It's not for you, Remy. It's not for you. No, but actually, I got a dog. That was the big thing that happened over the course of the last couple of weeks for me. I got a
Wait, like an actual dog?
yeah, like a dog, like
No
a
shit.
real living dog
Right on. What kind?
that woke me up at 5:00 in the morning because he had to poop. Which I guess is better than the alternative, which is taking a dump on my bedroom floor. But
True. And then you step on it in the morning. It's always fun.
yeah, very. I got a wonderful. He's a great old dog. He's my grandparents' dog, and they can't look after him anymore for a bunch of reasons.
Oh, okay.
So, been in the family a long time. We have a nice big backyard and a nice place where he can live out the rest of his years. So he's
that's
little
awesome, man.
little 20-pound Welsh Terrier named Bill.
Bill, that's such a classic name for a dog.
His full name. So my
OG.
grandparents are 93 years old. They're both my mother's parents. They're both still going. They're both dyed in the wool, old school, like Lyndon B. Johnson style Democrats. The dog's full name is Bill Clinton Good.
Wow.
I love it.
Yeah.
I've got
Yeah.
a friend. I've got a coworker at my new job. Oh, that's something that's happened since I got a new job. But I've got a coworker. Her dog's name is Biden. What's up with people naming their dogs after politicians? Something ain't right there.
I mean, my dog's named Donald.
Oh, don't.
And actually, we just spent the weekend training him up how to nuke a hurricane, which is pretty cool.
Careful! Watch out for Alabama. Okay, Alabama's right in the line of fire.
Fuck.
It's right in the line of fire. National Weather Service says.
So you have to understand, for the Alabama thing, that's actually from the fallout from when the wind after the nuke goes off just blows it everywhere. Right. You have to understand that's
Does everybody have their
about.
branded Sharpies? Their branded Trump Sharpies now, for when you don't like a weather map and you can just like take a Sharpie and just
draw.
Just
This is ours
draw
now.
just draw a boob of death on top of the actual bubble thing. Just like he's just gonna draw this weird stunted penis on top of this thing, and that'll make it go into Alabama, and then it just okay, no, oh god, we have to edit all of this out. We're breaking our own rules. Why are we talking about this?
I know you guys. You really ran with it.
Yeah,
I was just
no.
talking
Well,
about dogs.
John brought it up. I was just telling you the name of my fucking dog. I don't even really
Me
call
too.
him. I don't even really call him Bill very much. I just call him Pupperface or Old Man.
Pupper face. Okay, I like
Listen,
Yeah.
your dog's name's Bill and my name's Donald. I mean, what you want me to do?
But
it.
rename
Hey,
your dog.
I got a superhero. My dog's name is Quill,
That's a good one.
for Peter Quill.
That's a good one. So okay, here's the most awkward transition into nerd shit that we've ever
Right.
done. But I've watched Endgame on my phone and on my television and on my tablet probably about 20 times at this point. Like I just like have it on in the background sometimes.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
whatever.
good movie for that.
But one of the things that, and this is something that I dearly love about this movie that pisses me off so much about so many other movies, which is that most movies act like there are no movies within the universe of that movie. One of my favorite scenes in Endgame is when Don Cheadle and Hulk and Barton and Nebula and Ant-Man are all arguing about how time travel works, and War Machine starts riffing. It's like Time Cop, Hot Tub Time Machine, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. He just starts like riffing like 15 movies in a row that deal with time travel, and it's like, so Back to the Future is bullshit. I don't love that because it's debunking tropes about time travel movies. I love it because those movies exist in the MCU. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure was in theaters, and Don Cheadle's character went and saw it. And that never seems to really happen in other movies. Like, it's the old thing that drives me crazy about like zombie movies that take place in a world where clearly nobody has ever seen a zombie movie.
Right.
It's like these just aren't.
You
a
don't
fucking
know
thing.
how to handle these things.
Exactly.
Well,
it's like, oh, you have to shoot him in the head. Oh, fucking duh. Like it's like, how do you guys not know this? Like the entirety of the Walking
pop culture, man.
the entirety of The Walking Dead, that's what drives me crazy about that show at the end of the day, is they're all like, oh my God, nobody ever saw this coming. No, we all saw this coming. We all saw it coming. It'll be the same thing that happens if it's like a robot apocalypse where nobody's ever seen a movie about a robot apocalypse. What the fuck didn't you see Terminator in the 80s? What's the matter with you? And
It's a good movie.
it's a great movie. And it's one of those things where it is harder for me to suspend disbelief for a zombie movie where nobody's ever seen a zombie movie within the confines of that movie than it is for me to suspend disbelief for, fucking the Infinity Stones.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's wow, I really kind of went on a tear there for a second, but
Yeah, you're rather passionate.
Tell us how
about
you
this.
really feel.
it drives me fucking nuts, man. I can't stand
No.
it. It really but I mean, come on, how dumb is that?
No, I completely agree. I think it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I've always thought, and this has been true in basically any zombie movie since the beginning of time that I've ever seen, is how, like, at the very least, like, one person's contribution to the party is, hey, I saw a movie about this, or hey, whatever, and to be able to tell people, I could maybe believe that some meathead somewhere has never delved into something like this, but like when no one does, it's just and everyone's just like sitting there around, they're like, well, what the fuck do we do now? And really and truly, especially with zombies, it's basically the same as everything else on the planet. Shoot it in the head.
Right.
That's a
I mean,
safe bet
that
for
works
everything.
for most things.
Yeah, yeah. Right.
But yeah, Mike, they've been doing that with the MCU for some time. I mean, Peter specifically, Spider-Man specifically mentions Alien and all kinds of movies in Endgame as well. He's very much into the pop culture, and I love that. I think that's fantastic.
No, I mean, MCU is really good about that, but they're an outlier. They're the exception. They're not the rule. And
They're absolutely right.
You can point to, something really like Star Wars is kind of, is a pretty big thing in there. Fucking Peter Quill's obsessed with is obsessed with Footloose, which just
Is
makes
Kevin Bacon?
makes me so happy.
Oh yeah,
And just
It's a terrible movie.
knowing that Kevin Bacon was in a movie theater watching that, and that scene came on, and his fucking face just lit up so big, and
Christmas
it's
morning.
like,
Oh
so
yeah,
great.
love that.
so great. But
I actually need to. I just had like this sharp pain in my chest, and I think we need to take a minute here and try to unwind it a little bit. Is when Remy says, "Peter, Spider-Man, who something pretty big has happened to him since the last time."
God damn it! I was really hoping we weren't gonna have to talk about this.
Not gonna lie, that's actually why I brought it back around to Spider-Man, because I wanted to get to there. So thank you.
We have to. I mean, there's
it hurts.
Something this momentous cannot happen without the son sitting down and saying how fucking stupid it is. So
pour one out for Spidey.
For those that haven't heard, which I'm sure anyone who would be listening to this has. Basically the deal with Sony and Disney. Specifically, I think, is it just for the Spider-Man portion or for a lot of things?
What else?
As far as I know, it's
be?
only Spider-Man.
Yeah. So basically,
are there other Sony Disney crossovers that would affect, or is it just this deal? What are you asking?
I guess maybe it is only Spidey. So maybe what I said was moot. So regardless. The idea is that that deal fell through, and now Tom Holland is no longer a part of the MCU.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, and so any future Spider-Man movies that will be made with him in it, if they're made with him in it, will be made by Sony.
Yeah, that's really, really shitty, because Sony has one hell of a track record for fucking up Spider-Man and Venom. The entire Spider-Verse, really.
I did hear through the grapevine though, and this could be bullshit and untrue, but also it could be true, is that only gives that contractual obligation is only true for standalone movies, that they could technically still use him as cameos in the MCU.
Oh, well, I mean, that would be something. At least we could wrap the character up and put him
a la his appearance in like Civil War, right?
Right.
Where he's
at least if they write him out, they can do so gracefully without just giving an offhand comment, because the character deserves more than that.
Without a doubt. And obviously they had a huge setup at the end of what's the one that just came out, the most recent.
Far From Home.
Far From Home.
Yeah,
which,
Far From Home.
By the way, was fucking great.
Phenomenal. As did I. And they obviously set up a story arc there at the end of that.
Yep.
I don't know if we want to get into the spoiler territory here. But
it's a reasonably old movie at this point.
It's been out for it's been out for like 2 or 3 months.
we'll say spoiler alert. If you haven't seen it, pause for 30 seconds, fast forward, whatever. But basically, at the end, as Mysterio, with his last breath after being defeated, reveals to the world, right? It's ended up being on the newscast. His identity, right? So now everybody knows. Also,
it's pretty shitty.
Related to that, the fact that they brought back the original Jameson was fucking incredible.
That was awesome, dude.
Oh man, fucking incredible.
I love that. Spidey going out of the MCU is really unfortunate, but I have seen some really entertaining Reddit posts or just kind of chatter around the internet. One dude out there had an idea that I want to put forth. Obviously, it's not my idea, but I would love to see it. So obviously, Deadpool is part of the MCU now, right? Or at least owned by Disney.
Right.
I want to see a scene in Deadpool 3 where somebody walks in and Deadpool is hanging out with Tom Holland, not Spider-Man, but Tom Holland. I want to see Tobey Maguire walk through the background eating cereal or some shit like that, and then Andrew Garfield pop his head out of the kitchen and say, "Anybody want toast?" or some shit like that. Just something really casual where they're all hanging out. Because if anyone could do it, it'd be Deadpool, and that would not be breaking any contracts, and it would be fucking hilarious.
And he's just sitting there like shitting his pants over it, like, oh, ah.
Yeah, exactly. Just those three hanging out. I think it would be really, really funny. Not slap in the face, but hey, remember all these guys? Eh? Oh, Mike doesn't like it.
It's not.
Here we go.
No,
the part where we disagree.
It's not that I don't like it. I I think it'd be really. I think that'd be really funny, but it doesn't. The reason this whole thing bothers me is because it's just such a violent reminder that all of this shit just comes down to money every single time. You know, every single. I've read so many articles and posts and comments and shit about it. It's like, well, what about the fans? And my reaction is always just to sort of, you know, sit there and shake my head and just go, they don't give a fuck about you. You're going to spend the money.
You're still going to buy the next ticket.
You're right. They've got your money. They know they've got your money.
Right.
They've got my money.
Right. They're too comfortable.
Fuck. I mean, my wife already signed us up for 3 years at Disney Plus. Fucking thing isn't even out yet.
Wait, you could do that already?
They were running a special promo where you could get like 3 years. It was like for $120 or something like that. It came out to like $4 a month, and I was like, yeah, fucking do that. It's got Marvel, Star Wars, all the Disney shit. Like plus.
Well, what the fuck, man? Why wouldn't you tell us about shit like that before the deal's over?
I didn't know about it.
All right, then I'm mad at Kristen.
Okay.
We'll pass that along.
I expect her to call me up and let me know, hey, this is a bitchin' deal.
Hey, I'm just saying it's not like it was a big fucking secret.
That's fair.
It was, but anyway. My point is that you know the reason this happened, the reason that all the groundwork and the world building and the character development and the relationship building and all that shit that they did was and by the way, Spider-Man, I didn't give a shit about Spider-Man until he showed up in Civil War. I was never a Spider-Man fan. Just wasn't my guy. Nope.
No.
Just wasn't my guy. But I absolutely love what they did with Spider-Man in the MCU. It was absolutely perfect. Tom Holland was perfect casting. They wrote him into that storyline perfectly. They managed to carve out his own little area of it very, very well. They transitioned it from being a character that is completely dependent on Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man to, you know, at the end of the last movie, showing the growth of that character right up to the point where he's ready to become he's going to become his own man now.
Yeah.
That's where that movie ended. That entire movie was him grappling with Tony's gone, I'm on my own.
Yep. How
do I become more than what I was? We don't get to see the payoff to any of that shit.
Yeah, that's shitty. I completely agree.
So the reason we don't get to see the payoff to any of that shit, let's be really clear about this, is because Sony said, hey, we own half this property, we want half the money. And Disney said, interesting point, here's a counterpoint, go fuck yourself.
Which is fair. I mean,
that is exactly what
pull back
happened.
On the deal.
That is exactly what happened. So Sony wanted 50% instead of 5%. And
yeah.
And
well,
Disney,
always aim high when you go into bartering, right? Like,
yeah. And Disney said,
"Yeah, go up 45%. That's a good idea."
I understand that our original agreement was 5%. I'm thinking that we need to rework that a little bit and make it 50.
And
what do you say?
In fairness, by the Sony has, I'm actually on Sony's side on this one. They have every right. They have every right to, if I were them and it was time to renegotiate my contract and I saw the kind of money that was being made with IP that I own.
Yes, but you didn't create.
Neither did Disney.
Neither did Disney, but they do have the rest of the characters.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
I totally understand that, but it's the fact that Sony, because they're being greedy, is taking away from the fans. Period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. That is fact.
How is Sony being the greedy ones here?
Because they made a contract. They made a deal.
How is Disney not equally at fault?
Because they made the deal, and now they're trying to up it so drastically. They knew it wasn't going to work. Straight up, you can't expect to go from 5 to 50 and expect a good reaction. Period.
No, but you can
really
expect a negotiation. which I don't.
We don't know what was said behind closed doors. We don't know if there was
it's not clear,
shot
and I'm
back.
sure there probably was some negotiation. Maybe like, hey, well, that's obviously
There had
way
to be
too
something.
many.
Well, that's kind of insane. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, right. That's too big of a jump. Let's talk about 10, or whatever, and then they're like, now we're really stuck on this 50 number.
Yeah, that's just insane. That's too much, too fast.
Look, I mean, I like Disney. I like Disney. I like Marvel, but I'm sorry. Sony. I will say that Sony made a bad deal to begin with.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't get better than 5, but they were.
And that
their
I
original
completely
deal
agree
was
with.
shit. That's what I was about
I
to say.
completely
Their
agree
original
You guys
deal
can't
was
sit
shit.
here and look me in the face and tell me that they weren't just getting fucked, and they knew they were.
They were, and they had an opportunity to not get as severely fucked. Over time, they probably could have gotten up to 50%. But to go from 5% to 50 is insane. Nobody's going to take that deal.
It's a perfectly. I don't think they were expecting Disney to take that deal. I thought they would land somewhere around 20, which is why they didn't start there. That's not how negotiation works.
No, and that's totally fair. But
Always aim high.
you
on the
work
number.
up to that. You don't start with 50. That's insane to go to 50. That's like me going into my boss. Say I made 60,000 right now. That's me going to my boss and saying, "Hey, I'd like to make 250,000 if you could." He's gonna laugh in my face. Period.
Well, no.
That's such a crazy increase.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Totally different
Yeah.
situation. No, totally different
How
situation.
is that different?
You're not licensing intellectual property that you own to your boss.
Sure,
That's
I am.
what Sony was doing.
Like hell, I'm not. I'm licensing my ideas, my creativity, everything that I put out there is licensing my IP. Is it not? It's my thoughts. It's my creativity. That's exactly what I do for a living, is create things, create algorithms, think about solutions to problems. That's what I do for a living. So, am I not licensing my ideas for him to use?
No, I mean not in the same way. Do you have a documented right of ownership over any of that stuff?
No, because he's paying me for it, so he's
exactly
he owns it once I
Exactly. That's my point. Is that Sony has documented licensed rights to Spider-Man.
Okay, but the documented
They are giving Disney / Marvel permission to use the character.
Yeah, Marvel's the big part of that, though. That's the IP. That's where it came from.
Doesn't matter. Marvel was dumb
Sure it
enough.
does.
Nope. Not in the context of this. Doesn't make a difference. Marvel sold that to Sony. Sony owns it.
Because they wouldn't exist if they didn't. It was a desperate move.
Doesn't fucking matter, dude. I'm talking about the legal realities of the situation. Okay? Who gives a shit about why they did it? They did it.
I'm not arguing legality. I'm arguing who's at fault here. I'm on Disney's side simply because Sony went too hard.
Oh no, you're arguing about who's the bigger dick.
That's exactly it.
Yeah,
both are at fault. I'm not saying either is clean on this. Let's get that clear.
Yeah,
But,
but my point simply is that if I were giving, if I owned, okay, I'm an author. Okay, and I license a character that I create that I own the rights to. I own the copyright to that character, and I license it to a television studio, a la George R.R. Martin or whatever. And I make a deal for 5% of the gross.
Sure.
And a few years later, they're making money hand over fist. I'm doing pretty well off of it, but I'm looking at this and just be like, Jesus, these guys are making billions of dollars off of my character. I own that. Yeah. Now, granted, Sony didn't create Spider-Man. I got that, but I'm saying just for the point of ownership, the way it works in a scenario like this. If I'm looking at that and I say, well, fuck, that's I own that. I want a bigger piece of the pie, and I go to them, and they say, sorry, no. I am well within my rights to say, okay, well, then guess what? I'm
Okay,
taking that character back inside the walls.
But you're also not paying attention to the size of the jump. You just cannot, in any kind of negotiate, I don't care if it's a job or IP or whatever the fuck you're talking about, you cannot go from 5 to 50%. That is a stupid move.
Yeah, I'd like
just
to know what negotiations,
planning.
if any, there were. Like if they just like literally left him out of the room and there was no other back and forth. Because certainly, I agree. I think with what Mike said earlier, they were probably looking to settle on somewhere around 20, 25. If their
that's
initial
totally
offer
understandable.
Was 50. You know,
that's totally understandable.
But you know, surely they wouldn't have went in there and expected that to have gone well.
Look,
but I would want to know if there was a negotiation and what that negotiation was.
There had to have. There's no way there wasn't. I mean, look, John, you and I both, and Remy too. Remy, you too. I mean, we've all spent enough time in the business world to know that I don't. Was Sony smart? Was Sony smart to go in and ask for 50%? No. However, their argument was, well, we own half the you guys own the MCU, we own Spider-Man. We own half the property, we should get half the money. Which is a fair argument, incidentally. They're not asking for half the money from the MCU. They just want half the money from the Spider-Man part of the MCU because they own that half, which is perfectly fair in my estimation.
I disagree. Simply because it's not their... Yes, they bought it so many years ago in 93, 94, whatever it was. But at the end of the day, it's not their IP. It's not... yes, legally it belongs to them. Yes, 100%. That's true. But they didn't create it. They didn't come to the table with it.
So fucking what? So what? They own it, dude. It doesn't matter. None of that. Oh well, they didn't. It's not theirs in like that way. None of that shit fucking matters. They own it.
But it does. It may not matter legally. But it may not matter legally. But at the end of the day, Disney's sitting there like, well, we own Marvel. Marvel owns that IP. Marvel created that IP. Wouldn't you be a little more hesitant to say, well, just because you own this piece of what we created? You'd be more hesitant to like, no, you're not going to charge me for something that I created. I completely agree.
Then you shouldn't have sold the film rights in the first place.
Marvel wouldn't exist if that didn't happen. It was desperation.
Well, then
I'm not saying.
Then boo fucking who? I'm just saying. I'm not arguing.
Okay, I don't think we're ever going to see eye to eye on this.
Well, no, because we're arguing two different sides. We're arguing from two different points of view. I'm talking about I'm talking about the stone cold reality of the state of ownership between those two companies. That is the way it is. I don't give a flying fuck that Marvel was floundering back in the early 90s and they sold Spider-Man's film rights to save their ass. That doesn't matter. Not anymore. And I know it matters to you. I know it matters to you because this hurts your soul. Okay, that's what's really bothering you. This hurts your feelings. But
no, it doesn't hurt my feelings. It hurts.
I feel like it does a little bit.
No, not at all. I just think it's ridiculous that other people besides Marvel own the property, and because they're so pissy about it, they're not letting Marvel use its own property. Well, that's my argument.
But I'm saying, but the problem, Remy, is that that's not actually an argument; it's a complaint. So
fair enough. But but regardless, that doesn't help. Disney's side, firmly on Disney's side.
Someone at Sony sat down and said, this is how much money they're making on this. This is how much money we're making on this. This is how much money we could make if we were still making our own movies.
Yep.
And said, they calculated the risk, and maybe 50% was that number. They said, hey, we could at least get 50% of what they're getting out of this if we made the movies ourselves. And that might be why that number was picked. And granted, it works out that they own it and the other person makes it, so it's 50-50. But then maybe they decided that was the worth the risk, and say, hey, even if they say fuck it and we just can't take it back, I mean, we can make a movie and still make half what they make, which would be the same boat either way for them. Because I would say that if they kept Tom Holland on and made another movie, I mean, granted, the Sony Spider-Man movies comparatively are not good.
Yeah, I won't see it opening day.
Yeah, but you'll still see
it. Maybe. I'll wait till my dad buys it and I'll watch it on Vudu.
I'll go see a I'll go see a Sony Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. I'll go watch it.
You know,
I won't.
and that's kind
I
of
won't
my
until
point.
reviews come in.
Well, see there's exactly my point though. Mike's gonna go see it in the theaters. Remy's not, but guess what? That's 50%.
Yep.
Okay, fair enough. That's absolutely fair.
Well, but
I still think Sony's being a little bitch about it.
well, yeah, but Remy, my point is, you're not going to go see that movie out of spite. You're not.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
I'm not arguing that.
And that's the thing is that's what I say when I mean your feelings are hurt and you're taking it personally. You're spiteful about this. I'm not. I'm disappointed. I'm. Am I a little like I'm disappointed that we're not going to get to see the payoff to all that stuff and like all the cool shit that was happening with Spider-Man in the MCU. Yeah, I am, but I'm not like, well, fuck you, fuck you, Sony. And I'm just like, I get it,
I am constantly in the fuck you Sony camp, by the way. That doesn't matter if it's consoles. That doesn't matter if it's Spider-Man. Fuck Sony. I hate Sony.
What the hell? Did they run over your dog? What did Sony do to you? Jesus fuck! You fall over yourself trying to blow Microsoft's proverbial. Well, I'm assuming it's a big green Xbox logo shaped penis. But so you fall. So let me get this straight. Evil conglomerate number 1, they're okay. Other evil technical conglomerate number 2 over here, those guys are evil with a capital E. What the hell did Sony do to you?
No, I like people that make quality things.
Oh,
this shit's just
not people that
stop
make
it!
shit things.
Stop it! Get the fuck out of here! Oh God, I've got several Windows operating systems that I'd like to sell you. Then,
Mike, I missed you, man. It's been a minute.
Yeah, I know, right?
You guys really have. I mean, it's like when you don't fuck for a long time, dude. You guys really had this pent up, and you just let it.
A little bit of a build up here.
Jesus Christ, you like people that make quality things? Shut the fuck up. Microsoft has put out so much crap; it's unbelievable. I don't even want to.
I don't know. They did have 3D Space Cadet pinball one time though. That was pretty dope.
Yeah.
How's your Windows Phone doing, Remy?
I don't have one.
Yeah, neither did anybody else.
Nope. See,
I don't stick
either, to. Yeah, exactly. That's where I was going.
Yeah,
so
Sony never dipped their toes into the. Sony never tried to take over the mobile market though.
That's not true. They had the Sony Ericsson or whatever it was. They absolutely tried their hand and it sucked. But Microsoft makes good consoles. It makes a number of good items. I hate their PCs. I'm not Microsoft fanboy. I am an Xbox fanboy. Let's get that straight.
Okay.
Sony continually makes bullshit stuff. I don't like them. That's
what
just how it is.
What the fuck are you talking? Oh my god. So no.
See,
just
Microsoft
no.
makes some good stuff. Sony does not. That's just how I feel.
So PlayStation, PS4, everything that has to do with it, that's all crap.
I have not turned on my PS4 in almost a year.
Just because you haven't turned it on doesn't make it crap. It just means
there's a reason I don't turn it on. It's because I don't like it. It's not my thing.
Then
I don't
why'd
like
you
the
buy
controller.
one?
I don't like the way it works. It's just not my thing.
That doesn't make it crap. That just means you prefer Xbox.
It makes it crap to me. If it weren't, in my opinion, if it weren't crap, I'm not saying that everything on it is crap. Yes, I'd like to play the Spider-Man games. I'd like to play a certain number of things, but I'm not enough to where I'm going to go out of my way to turn it on or buy a game for it. I got it for a really good deal. I bought it for $100 off a friend that was getting rid of it. So I said, fuck it, I'll buy one. I played The Last of Us for maybe 3 hours and got bored and turned it off. And I haven't turned it on since. It's not my thing. I don't like PlayStation.
That doesn't make it crap, dude.
Mike's
to me,
sitting
it
over there with
does.
his brains like oozing out of his
no.
ears.
You can't create a blanket statement about the quality of product put out by an entire company off of you buying a used PS4 for $100, playing 3 hours of The Last of Us Remastered, and then turning it off.
I used to. Okay, wait, hang on. I used to own a PS4 and I sold it because I didn't use it. I don't like it.
Then why'd
To
you
me,
buy it in the
that's
first
crap.
place?
That's junk. Because I thought it'd be a good system. What do you? Why else would I buy it?
It's a perfectly fine system. What's your problem with it?
Everything. I don't like the OS. I don't like the single player only mentality they have. I don't like the controller. There are so many things. And
Okay, we're not.
nine
We're
times
not.
out
We're
of
not
wait,
having
hang
that
on. I'm not
controller
done.
argument
I'm not
again.
done. I'm not done. I don't like. I don't
Hold on,
like
I'm
the
ranting.
way it connect. Yeah, you asked a question. I'm answering it. I don't like the way it connects to live services. I don't like the fact that it gives me a hard time every single fucking time I try to log into my account offline. 9 times out of 10 it doesn't work, so I don't even bother fucking trying anymore. Everything about it to me, it's a piece of junk. It's a good Blu-ray player, but otherwise, it's not worth my time. I regret the $100 that I spent on it.
You guys are
That's
cute.
just me.
Counterpoint. The OS is simple and easy to navigate. I never have any problem connecting to live services on it.
I didn't say it wasn't difficult. I said I didn't like it.
Oh,
And
okay.
that, to me, that is, if I don't use it and it's just a piece of hardware sitting on my shelf, it's crap. It's not worth my time. I hold on to it because there is potential for a game coming out that I might play. A few games have, and I just haven't bought them because I think about playing the PlayStation. I just don't want to. But that's beside the point.
Okay, so I understand that you do not like it. I got
To
that.
me, that's crap.
Right. However, my point is
Uh-huh. Go on.
that objectively speaking, I'm talking here about objective reality, not your personal preference. Okay?
Uh-huh.
Clear?
Yep. Crystal clear there, Mike.
That Jesus, God in heaven. Okay?
I'm dying over here.
I know you are, man.
Yeah, I know, John. I know. Look.
So anyway, I wanted to backpedal to a point, or it's something you said way back at the beginning of the Spider-Man conversation.
Okay, let's go.
Forget Sony, Microsoft.
Yeah.
You said before Civil War you weren't a fan of Spider-Man. Now I wanted to know why. What was it about Spidey that didn't draw your attention, or what is just why? Sheer curiosity.
It's a really good question. Honestly, I'm maybe it was just because the Spider-Man content that I've been exposed to prior to that, it was mostly I was never a big fan of the Spider-Man comics. I never got into them.
Okay.
And it just kind of never happened. The character, like obviously I knew, like I was familiar with it. I'd read other Marvel stuff where he showed up, but it was just never. Spider-Man always seemed kind of hokey to me. Back then, and maybe just from the little bit I saw of him, that was just the impression I had. And then the Sony movies that I saw didn't do a whole lot for me. Mostly because I don't like Tobey Maguire.
Amen to that. We agree on something.
Yes.
Good man.
Yeah. Pour one out for the dead. see you in hell, Toby. But it wasn't that I disliked Spider-Man. I was just ambivalent about Spider-Man. I didn't really care about him, and I think what the MCU version of that character did, and the reason I'm disappointed and sad that it's not going to be a thing anymore, is because they took what I had seen as kind of this sort of kind of hokey kind of anybody call for a web slinger kind of thing, and turned him into this sort of this goofy kid who is traumatized and is trying to do the right thing, and
your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah, right. And it's like, I just want to go have a freaking vacation. Can I not do that, please? Oh, I can't because of all like elementals. Oh, they're fake. Oh, okay, good talk. And
whoa, spoilers.
Yeah, go see shit when it comes out. Okay, the movie came out like 2 or 3 months ago.
I don't give a shit, dude. I'm just fucking with you.
No, I'm talking that's to the audience, potential audience member who hasn't seen it.
Yeah.
But
Good point. Go see it.
You
It's
know,
good.
I have a type of like comic book character or sci-fi or fantasy that attracts me, and that is generally speaking it's darker stuff, and grittier stuff. I never.
That's why you like Batman.
Well, I mean, I'm not a huge Batman fan. I would say, like, if you're putting it in the context of comics, I always preferred the X-Men, and I always prefer.
See, I agree with that.
And I always prefer, and my favorite X-Man was, shocker, Wolverine, because he was the most interesting to me. He was the most anti-hero-ish,
Okay.
right? So, I would like. If they had made Moon Knight movies, I would have been more interested in that.
Oh, dude, hell yeah!
Than the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies.
Well, Mike, I'm a little confused here, and maybe you can help clarify. If you're into heroes that are a little darker, I mean, did you not see Spider-Man 3?
Actually,
he said dark, not emo. That's a big difference there.
And actually, John, no, I didn't. I don't think.
You lucky son of a bitch.
That joke falls a little flat with you, then.
I appreciated it, John.
Yeah, I'm sure it was quality.
I knew by the laugh that I was missing something big there. The only thing I vaguely remember that from the trailer that Lowe from what Thomas Hayden Church, is that the guy's name, was playing Sandman, which was like okay.
Yeah, it's
whatever.
Fantastic.
And
it's terribly fantastic.
And fucking what's it? Eric Foreman from that
Topher
'70s
Grace.
show was
Topher
Venom.
Grace was Venom. Yeah.
God, I'm having flashbacks.
No,
Yeah,
it's so bad.
So
Basically, the exact scene I was thinking of, Mike, that just made Remy laugh here, and the viewers that maybe don't know as well, is that when Spider-Man gets the symbiote suit, he is walking down the street in like a black outfit. He's got like fucking guy liner on and stuff like that, and he's like dancing and pointing at people. It's really fucking weird.
what?
Dude, Mike, look up that scene. Watch that on YouTube. It's probably a 3-minute scene, but it's fucking terrible and funny as
you'll never stop laughing. I don't think.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's
God.
bad.
I don't know. I don't know that I want to do that to myself.
You should do it. You absolutely should.
Jesus.
But I tell you something that I do want to do, and it's been hinted at a lot of times, and Remy just brought it up again. So you know what? You guys had your little thing, so now I kind of want to dive in. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go. Let's go.
All right.
Sorry. Yeah. It's been a solid month. We had to go at each other.
I know.
Hardcore.
Yeah. That's what I said.
Oh,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. You
I
gotta
expected
fucking clean that one out of the pipe, and then you'll be ready to get back to the normal.
Yeah.
I understand. So talking about sort of kind of darker heroes, blah blah blah. Of course, Remy brings up, as he always does, what in the fuck is wrong with Batman?
Oh, Jesus.
Batman is one of the most iconic superheroes of all time. I showed you
fucking
before.
boring.
He's going to be the first one that's going to get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Yeah, I know. He's completely uninteresting to me. I hate everything about him. I just, for whatever reason, anytime he says something in a comic, I tune out. Like, with the exception, by the way, of Injustice. The Injustice series was really good. I really, really enjoyed it. It was a fucking great read, and I would highly recommend it to anybody if they haven't read it. But typically speaking, I like everything surrounding Batman. I just don't like Batman himself. He is uninteresting. He feels like he's always bitching about something or disappointed in somebody or having flashbacks of his childhood, or it just he has absolutely no draw to me.
I mean,
and
how dare he have a traumatic childhood experience that it shaped his adult life?
99% of the comic book characters out there have a traumatic childhood, but they don't talk about it every 3 minutes.
Yeah,
that's really what it boils down to.
I mean, how many actual comics have you read of his though?
Hundreds.
I mean, like Year One was fantastic. Under the Red Hood.
Year one wasn't terrible.
It wasn't the worst.
Well,
I mean,
okay,
you know.
okay. Check it out. Check it out. When there's a Batman comic, I will read it because I want to know the story. Batman as a character, I don't give a fuck about. But everything surrounding him, I like Nightwing. I like Harley Quinn. I like Joker. I like Bane. Bane is a really bitchin' character. There are a lot of characters surrounding Batman that I really that Bane.
Had to get that in.
That I really really like.
Bomb.
But Batman, I wish
with no
I wish that Batman wasn't the centric character in those stories, because everybody else surrounding him is really interesting. Like Barbara Gordon is a fantastic character. Commissioner Gordon is awesome. But unfortunately, they have this centerpiece that's really fucking ugly. It's just terrible. But everything else surrounding it is awesome. And then I get to read the offshoot stories and not have to worry about having Batman, but I know what's going on in that world. That's why I read Batman comics, so that I can be caught up on everybody else.
Yeah, so that's weird that you would subject yourself to something you don't like just to be caught up on the story. But
Well, no,
that's all I
Does
could
that
think
not
about the
make
entire
any
time
sense?
he was talking was to be like, I fucking hate Batman, but I know literally I know everything about him. I have read hundreds of Batman comics. I know
I
the
like
backstories to
his-
every single ancillary character to Batman, and
I like his ancillary characters. That's all there is to it. I enjoy. He's got good
What do you-
villains. He's got
all right,
good.
so what do you think about?
I will
like
bet you anything under the sun he's wearing a Batman mask right now, and he's doing this just to fuck with us. I guarantee it.
I'm gonna go ahead and send you a selfie real quick.
so really, Remy, the your hang up isn't necessarily the hero; it's more so the person behind the mask. Then
Yeah, I just don't care for the character. I don't like the character.
you
Period.
don't like
no.
Bruce Wayne.
That's right.
I don't like
You don't
Bruce Wayne.
Bruce
I don't
Wayne.
like Batman. No, because Batman, when he speaks, is also he's Bruce Wayne, same character. I don't like.
Not when he uses
Rick-
that gravelly voice.
Where are the
Let's
drugs?
get started on that.
Oh, man,
Anyway.
that was so weird. Yeah,
I
because that's what.
don't
So
like
where I was going with that, Remy,
Batman.
is it seems more like I said, and yet sure. I mean, granted, it's Bruce behind the mask, so to a certain extent, yes, it's the same character. But how do you feel about like an offshoot Batman, like Batman Beyond or something of that nature?
I didn't care for Batman Beyond. I didn't like the stories overall. I thought they were pretty poorly written, but the character I didn't care. Whatever. He was take it or leave it. Didn't have any strong feelings either way. But and that's the thing, is that I really wish I liked Batman because I like all the characters surrounding him, with a few exceptions here and there. But ultimately, I like the stories that go with Batman, not the Batman himself.
So let me ask you.
Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I was going to say. So let me ask you that. Let me ask you this then. Are you interested in seeing the new Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix?
I'm intrigued. I don't know how solid of a character he's going to be. It seems like a really odd choice, and it seems like they're taking it a different direction, which I'm kind of into. But I'll
Also,
see it
Joaquin
for
Phoenix.
sure.
Ugh.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is Joaquin Phoenix. I like him. I think he's one of those actors that's just kind of like, I know him. I don't know if I like him or not, but
yeah, him specific. I'm trying to think. I've seen him in movies that I didn't love, but I've never seen him be bad in a movie.
Exactly. And Ashley and I were talking about that the other day. It's like I'd like to see this, I think. I mean, I will watch it eventually. I'm not going to go day one, but yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen him make films I don't like, but he's always given a good performance.
Yeah, he's a good actor, but I don't know why I have a hesitation about him.
Yeah. Well, he's literally never opened a movie by himself, ever. He's never been the headliner of a big movie like this.
So
a big movie, yes, that's true.
Yeah.
He was in Her, which was actually kind of popular, but that's not on the scale of Batman or Joker.
Are you guys caught up with the latest trailer and everything, or have you seen a trailer?
Well, yeah, I actually only saw the first one. Did not watch the next one because I know I'm going to see it.
So it's
But
actually
it's not one that I'm not too concerned about.
Right. It's actually funny that that I saw a meme that made me laugh pretty hard about it. It showed the original Nicholson Joker, right? And it was like, this guy to make a Joker in whatever year that was, right? I don't remember. The 90s.
1989.
89.
89. Okay. I knew it was somewhere around
I
there.
got it.
Nice. It was like to make the Joker in 1989, throw him in a vat of chemicals. And to make the Joker in 2019, throw him into society. It was just like...
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, that's painfully
the
true.
most recent trailer is just like, I mean, remember if you haven't seen it, the most recent trailer is just like him like going outside and like getting beat up by thugs and stuff like that just for existing. It's just like,
Well, he's got an interesting story. I actually like his origin, his newest origin, I suppose I should say.
yeah, it's varied a lot over the years.
Yeah, it's more believable than the classic falling into chemicals thing. But
Well,
Yeah, so yeah, I'm definitely interested in the Joker as well. You know, like I said,
I'm
really
intrigued, yeah.
was really let down with Suicide Squad and the Leto version of Joker. That was
okay, about that. So, DC Comics has 3 very distinct Jokers. That's one of them. Everyone gives Leto a lot of shit for how he portrayed the Joker. That is one of the portrayals of Joker.
Yeah,
I'm not saying I
the
loved
shitty
it,
one.
but I'm not saying I loved it, but
Right.
to me, him and Harley were the most interesting part of that movie.
Yeah, well, the rest of the movie sucked too, but
I'm not not going to bat for Suicide Squad, but that was the only thing I wanted to say is he is portraying one of the 3 Jokers. There are very distinct differences between the 3 of them, and he should be given the credit for what he did actually do with that character.
well, you know, and granted, you know, maybe that's the better way to look at it, and you could blame it on the writers for picking the one that no one knows or likes.
That I agree with.
You know, and maybe he did the best he could with what he had, but that's not how people remember that kind of thing, right? They just remember seeing a Joker that was weird, who had like didn't have a smile, but instead it was like tattooed on his fucking hand, and he like stuck his hand in front of his mouth, and all, like weird stuff like that, like that's what resonates with people. So they just think that he fucking shit the bed, which you know, but yeah. So that was a shit show. But actually, and so. Another reason that I brought Batman up to start with is number 1, I needed to get confused by Remy's thought process again, and number 2, I want to kind of take a minute here for everybody to give their quick take on the most recent announcement of who's going to be the next Batman.
Well, but before
Will he be sparkly?
Before we shift over to that, here's. Having not seen the movie, just seen the trailers, obviously. Here's the issue that I'm seeing with this version of the Joker, for me, and that is, it looks. I can see why it would be interesting to make a movie about that character that's not really tied to Batman. Mm-hmm. Okay, fine. You want to make it a character study? Okay. If that movie wasn't called Joker,
wouldn't it was. Care?
Just pick something else, any title, don't care. And you saw that trailer, it would just look like this poor schmuck who got so crushed that he snapped and created this alternate reality for himself and turned himself into this thing. And, started going around in a clown suit and doing crazy shit. And John, that meme you quoted made me think this again, which is that is such it's such a sad character, and it's such a sad story, and it's such a sympathetic story, in a way. I don't know how great a message it is to engender sympathy for a person's response, for a person responding so violently to, and because ultimately that's what he does. He becomes the Joker, who's a murdering psychopath, right? That's his response to, being beaten, to being hurt, to being cast aside, all that kind of stuff. I don't know that I'm not articulating this very well, but it and I'm being a little overly serious, but it does bother me that the character of Joker, the guy's supposed to be sort of like Ledger's Joker, sort of like an unrecalcitrant psychopath.
Yeah.
And the beginning of the what was it, the Long Halloween, where he just knocks on Batgirl's door, she opens the door, and he just fucking shoots her.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring up this story.
Yeah,
because his whole mentality is one bad day.
That's the Joker.
Right.
That's the Joker. The Joker is not some well-meaning. I can't have him be some well-meaning sweet guy who just gets his ass kicked so much that he turns into the Joker.
But that's his story in the comics. That's his newer story, of course. But
right, but
he is
right, and that's what I'm saying. I don't like that. I don't want it. I don't want him to be what I'm saying is I don't want him to be a sympathetic villain. I don't.
That's fair.
I really, really don't. I don't want not every villain can be fucking Darth Vader. Okay, not every villain can be this well-meaning guy who gets twisted and warped by the forces of darkness into this monster, but it's kind of sort of not really his fault in a certain sense. No, that's not that. I really don't like that, because we've all got shit that we deal with, and we don't react that way. So
well, no, of course not. But that's what differentiates us between the Joker and.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you understand what I'm saying.
I do understand.
Which is that I don't want him to be this,
sympathetic icon. Yeah.
Yeah, this sweet guy who is well-meaning and a little weird, and just through a series of violent abuses gets turned into this clown makeup wearing psycho. I mean, I've seen that movie, but it wasn't called Joker. But we've all seen that movie. Pick your indie film, and and it's just not that it's just not that interesting to me, frankly. It's too dark.
Yeah,
it's too depressing.
And ultimately,
it's not fun.
It's one of those things where a lot of that's gonna vary by opinion. But when you have something, and this is true for a lot of comic book things, whether it be heroes or villains, when you have something where so many writers have touched the same character and imprinted either their own little taste into a linear story, or when you have varying stories depending on who's doing it, right? You're going to have these differences like this. And, because we have, you brought up Ledger's Joker, right? We already have that. We can see that. It's there now. We can go watch it, and catch that. So to me, it's interesting to see, because like I said, this is the newer, right? The newer writer's version.
Right.
Or whatever, to see that portrayed, and I would argue, that, as you said, Mike, that a lot of us have shit that we deal with and we don't react this way. To me, that's why I wouldn't have sympathy for that kind of character, because, yeah, we all have this shit going on and we don't react this way. So to me, like, that means, someone in those circumstances always had a little hint of whatever that is.
Well, yeah, fair point. I think you can tie this back to as I'm getting older, I'm having more and more trouble just watching people get hurt. Yeah. And I don't mean like big action sequences and cartoony like cartoony battles with aliens and that kind of stuff. That's fine. I don't want to see a guy just getting kicked in the street. I just don't want to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The world's ugly enough. Thank you very much.
The good thing is you don't have to.
No, but I get
true.
that. But that you were asking. We were talking about, like, are we interested in going to see this movie? Me, probably not.
Yeah, right.
Probably not.
And for good reason. I mean, yeah, if you wouldn't enjoy it, then don't go.
Yeah, totally fair.
And,
Yeah,
it's
probably
very
not.
possible, and it's very possible for the reasons that you've given, or perhaps other reasons that I won't like it. When I
Yeah,
went
for
and
sure.
seen Suicide Squad, I really expected it to like it. I wanted to like it, and it just
Yeah.
sucked. It just was bad. So
Yeah, yeah, it was.
the story, like the whole premise of it, was just fucking dumb. Like you know,
Yeah.
so
So John, you asked real quick. We're gonna give our hot takes real quickly.
yeah,
And
I
then
wanted to take a minute
close
to talk
down.
about Sparkle Bat. So let's do that.
Oh God, that's the best name
let's
ever.
wrap
So
up
Mike,
on
what do you think?
we've had a lot of headbutting. Let's wrap up on a light note here.
What do you think about Sparklebat?
I do kind of feel bad for Robert Pattinson that he's literally never going to live down that role in the Twilight movies. I mean, I honestly I heard that and my reaction was probably the same one that you guys had, which was what, really? Okay, that's wow, interesting choice. I mean, he's. I will say this: he's not a worse choice than, at least on paper, he's not a worse choice necessarily than George Clooney or Ben Affleck in terms of being able to pull off the character. Um,
Just
like
in a
I
very
would not have
different
put,
way.
in a very different way, but in the sense that I would not have put those guys on the short list to play Batman either, and for good reason. So it just the reason that Bale was able to pull it off, and the reason that Michael Keaton was able to pull it off, Val Kilmer a little bit less so. I look, I like Val Kilmer, but the thing with playing
Bat
a character,
nipples.
what?
Bat nipples.
Bat
That was
nipples.
the
Yes,
costume. that had nipples, yeah.
I remember, but and it's also probably not a great thing that the thing that everybody remembers the most.
That's
from
his
Val Kilmer's
association.
Batman movie is, yeah. But
Oh man.
when you're watching a Batman movie, the reason that Christian Bale was so good as Batman is because you weren't constantly aware that it was Christian Bale. The
Right.
problem with Ben Affleck and George Clooney, and I think with Robert Pattinson, is that you're constantly aware. It's like, you're not Batman, you're fucking George Clooney.
You're Edward Cullen.
Right.
So
So
John, what do you
that's my 2 cents.
what do you think, man?
I just can't fathom, and I agree with Mike that it's probably not a worse choice for different reasons than Ben Affleck, which all the things that he's been in as Batman has fucking sucked ass. I can't fathom who was sitting there and was like, who would really capture the brooding Dark Knight.
Oh, I want to
Have
be
you
a fly on
seen-
the wall.
Now, guys, sit with me for a second. Have you seen the Twilight series? There's
By
an
the
actor
way,
there.
Remy, after you give your take on this, by the way, I do have one thought, just as a kind of a devil's advocate thing. But John, keep
Okay.
going.
I mean that's basically my like. I just can't fathom. Batman, is known for being dark and brooding, and Robert Pattinson is none of those things. Just zero of those things. I don't think he could do it if his life depended on it. I just can't see it. And I don't know who decided it would. And the internet, of course, went. It's like, oh well, what if this is a Batman Beyond thing? What if that's what they're doing? But it's not. That's not what they're doing. That would be more interesting if that's what they were doing. I think that would be better because Terry McGinnis is that way. Is not brooding. He's a fucking kid. Kind of thing. And that I could see and that I could get behind. But that's not what they're doing. This is actually going to be. And I just can't. I fucking I brought this up to Remy because I just don't understand how he could be so against it because I fucking love Batman. I just can't get excited about this at all. I can't see an angle where I'm like, you know what, I can see it. So that's my 2 cents on the matter.
All right. Well, my thought is when I do think he's a little young, which is it's going to be a little strange. I don't know how they're going to reconcile with that, but that's beside the point. I questioned the casting of Heath Ledger. I questioned the casting of Robert Downey Jr. Chris Evans. All these people had done just such obscure and not superhero-y movies in the past. I didn't see it, but all three of those specifically proved me wrong in a big way. So I have a hard time counting out the actor before I'll see it. I mean, I agree that Affleck was not phenomenal. He was not terrible, but he wasn't George Clooney.
No, he was terrible.
Okay, fair enough.
He was running around with machine guns, Remy. I mean, that's against. Just go ahead.
Dude, I don't give a shit about the character.
I know you don't. I know you don't.
If you entertain me in the slightest bit, I'll give you a pass in that character. But
unless you're Sony, go ahead.
Well, obviously, but
right.
If I'll see it. I'll watch the movie, but I don't have expectations one way or the other. At this point, it's Batman. I don't really care that much anyway. I'll wait till it comes out on video and I'll watch it.
Sure.
So,
you stole my devil's advocate thing, by the way, which was Ledger's Joker. Yeah. I remember when that got announced, I was like, really? The guy from Brokeback Mountain?
10 Things I Hate About You? Come on.
Yes! 10 Things I Hate About You? The guy from A Knight's Tale? Really? We're doing this? Okay. And then, I saw him in that movie, and I was like, oh my God, I've never been so wrong about anything in my life. It was the
same way for Chris Evans. The guy from Not Another Teen Movie? Come on.
Yeah.
I will say for Ledger's Joker, I've kind of had suspicions, dude, but when they released the still, or not still, but I don't even know what it was. Maybe it was part of a trailer, but the screen was black and you could hear his laugh. It was like a teaser or something. Right, but you could hear the laugh, dude. I was like, fuck, dude, that is spot on perfect. Let's go.
Yeah.
And I was ready.
Dude, I gotta watch those movies again.
Yeah.
Those were such good movies.
I've watched Dark Knight Rises relatively recently just because I'm paid. But I gotta watch Dark Knight again. And we gotta wrap this up. I'd like
to watch all three of them. Yeah, we do. We absolutely need to wrap this up. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and you can catch us on all the things at thesonsofglitches.com. And we hope you guys have a good one.
Have a good
night, everybody. Ew.